you have such an iconic time capsule of characters, and in terms of all the unlockables that you had, in terms of the Jon Dowd.
He was a real guy who was a producer.
He's a real guy.
It's funny how that kind of became a big thing. I love it.
We didn't realize what a cultural phenomenon this thing would be.
It wasn't anything that we thought was, it was just another thing that we had to figure out, right?
Because Barry wasn't part of the PA that
Right.
year, and we're like, what do we do?
We'll put in our own Barry Bonds, and John looked after all of our database and the stats and the ratings and everything like that. So we thought, yeah, let's make him Jon Dowd.
Thought it was funny, but I mean, didn't think anyone would be talking about it 20 years later or 2 years later, for that matter.
We read about different articles pop up here and there, and it's always good to kind of reminisce about that.
One of the greatest video game baseball players ever.
Till they see me in real life, anyway.
20th anniversary of MVP baseball, and joining us now, one of the many that worked on MVP baseball 2005.
And there were women too.
And men and women, and he was in the game as well. The namesake for one of the greatest video game athletes of all time, Jon Dowd, joining us now. John, we appreciate the time. Why do you think this game resonates still the way it does?
Two or three reasons. It was a really good blend of simulation and arcade. We worked on that for years. This was like the 7th iteration of the game I was on, and we finally kind of worked out all the kinks. So I think that's a big part of it. I think the second big reason is the fact that it was the last one, and we kind of ended on a high note due to licensing reasons. We couldn't make MLB products after 2005, and it kind of lingered in the memory. It was like it was the James Dean or the Kurt Cobain of baseball video games, I guess.
I'm glad you used the music references, because to me that was half of this game. The music in this game was phenomenal. That's honestly what I remember the most. When some of those songs from that game come on the radio, or I shouldn't say the radio, on Spotify now, or whatever medium you listen to them, I think of the game. And I have a lot of, this was my college days and the senior year, and I'm playing baseball, and I'm obviously playing the game away from the field. It resonated with me a lot. I guess for me, I look at this game and I look at obviously your experience, or at least your character, your player in the game, if you will. 20 years later, you said you didn't think that obviously it would still resonate. What strikes out to you the most about that time? And is there anything else that you can, draw a similarity to from your role at EA to where you see this kind of phenomenon take place, where a game really sticks around this long?
We knew it was a good game, but we didn't know it would be like this. We didn't think it would. For one thing, we didn't know it was going to be the last one when it happened. We just thought, okay, we're just going to put this out, and then we were already working on improvements for MVP 2006 when we found out we lost the license. So when you're making video games, you're kind of inside it. It's you're working late hours. You're doing your job. It's only afterwards when you really see the impact of what you've done, and hopefully that people like it, because it's not fun for the people out there who make video games that the fans don't like.
In the piece, your namesake, your virtual version, if you will, one of the greatest video game characters of all time. I'm wondering, when you are out and about, does that ever come up when people hear your name, even in passing? How often do you still get reminded that Jon Dowd, the baseball character, still resonates?
Once in a while. Because I live in Vancouver, Vancouver's not the biggest baseball market. It's not too much up here. I think the story that Matt included in his article 5 years ago was I was staying in a hostel in Madrid, and a couple guys from Astoria in New York were staying at the same hostel, and when they found out who I was, they freaked out. And it kind of freaked me out, because it was that was over a decade ago. And it's like, and all like the Europeans in the hospital, are you a celebrity? I'm like, no, not really. But it was fun. It didn't pay money or anything like that. But, it's nice to be remembered. I always have to say that even though I'm kind of like the mascot for MVP 2005, there were 50 or 60 people on the team, and they all made huge contributions. I'm just a person who had I had the best job, not the hardest job, but I had the best job.
So I got to ask this. So you were part of creating the game on the back end. How often did you play the game? When you played it, what team did you represent? I just curious. And when you played as yourself, how much did you brag?
We played it a lot. To find bugs, to test bugs that our testers found, to make sure that they were legitimate or not. I loved playing as the Cooperstown teams. I was in charge of putting those players together. But yeah, it was fun to hit a bunch of home runs with myself. I'm not going to lie.
So I got one more question for you real quick.
Sure.
Just thinking about this. I see the games that my kids are playing now, right? And they're playing the show. And
Yep.
I look back at MVP 05, and I think as I've played the show with them, I don't see that much difference in gameplay. Obviously, the graphics are, different. It's different processors and everything else that goes into that, the new age. But what's your take on it? What do you see in the new baseball games specifically as opposed to 05, and how really far ahead was MVP 05 in the video game realm as far as baseball goes?
I think the advantage MVP had was there's a lot of pressures put onto developers to make these big marketing features that they think are going to sell, what they call them back of the box or X items. And we tried to sidestep that and just focus on gameplay and fixing bugs that had been there for 5 years and improving the animations and just adding stuff that the fans wanted to see and not necessarily what the executives wanted to see. And I think what you're seeing now in a lot of games, whether it's the show or Madden, I think lack of competition is hurting the industry. I think we would have been better off if MVP was still making games. I think we would have been better off if NFL 2K was still around. And I think that would have forced everybody to up their games.
Well, Jon, we appreciate the time. Congratulations on the work that you and your colleagues did all those years ago, and that it's still, like I said, it's still resonated and still has a lot of big fans today, 20 years later. We appreciate the time, and maybe we'll catch up down the road for the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That's Jon Dowd. Remember, you can watch the full extended feature on the 20th anniversary of MVP Baseball 2005 right now on MLB.com. When we come back, we're going to chat with Steven Nelson, our former colleague here at MLB Network, now current Dodgers broadcaster. He's going to tell us about the sights and sounds in Tokyo as the Cubs and Dodgers prepare to open the season.
By T-Mobile.